buy into the whole perception thing because I didn't really, most of us don't think anybody's really looking at us when we're walking down the street. And I was on the train one day, and this guy said to the other guy when he saw my big hair, he was like, I don't get that thing there. And I was like, am I that thing there? So your ears start to perk up, and he was like, they're doing all of that, but they're not real. They're not going back to Africa. I was like, I would never go to Africa. Like, why did he think that just because I wore my hair like that, I was going to go to Africa?
For me, with my family, it was more the men versus the women. Like, I actually have cancer in my family. So my aunt had actually gone through cancer, cut all her hair off. Nobody said nothing. She came in with her little natural big chop. But I came and I was like, oh, well, I'm going to go natural now. I said, my aunt do it. I'm going to do it. We're going to do this thing. And they're like, oh, you look like a boy.
You don't have cancer, you can't do that.
You look like a boy. And, it was my grandfather and my father like, I don't know if I like it. All this other stuff. It's short. I feel like a lot of times men, they want long hair. And it's like, oh, it's short. Why so short? And I had longer natural hair.
Yeah.
And like you said with your boyfriend, like, I cut my natural hair short. He was like, but it's just so short. He's like, why does it have to be so short?
I started in the natural journey in 98, and it's changed so much since 1998. It's so vast because when you originally started looking at your hair being locked or in afros, it was always associated with something negative. So the perception is very deep, and it resonates. And even to this day, I can't believe how deeply it resonates. So I always tell my clients, like, the hardest part of going natural is making the decision. And you know what I love to tell people when they go natural? Like, there's another wonder of the world. I said, because an afro is the only other thing that will defy gravity. And they're like, oh, wait a minute.
Stands up all by itself.
It stands up all by itself.
All by
You have
itself.
to lay it down, press it down, do all of these things to make that beautiful hair lay down. So it's a natural wonder. And so that will change your mindset sometimes as well.
I agree with you. I don't fault anyone, especially the men. I think I'm the easiest on the men when they say they don't like it because when I went natural at first, I didn't like it. I've had a perm since I was 7 years old. I was raised that was the way it's supposed to look.
What I'm finding is because I work especially with children in my community, in my neighborhood, is that to get a perm is acceptable. To get a weave, like to go out and buy your own first weave or your own pack of hair is like a rites of passage almost. Yeah. And yes, it's very deep, and culturally it's very deep. When they see someone with natural hair, even if the child might think it's beautiful, the parent or the guardian, whoever's with them, doesn't. And I've had children, I used to wear gele all the time, and I would see little girls and they would ask me what's under there, and I would take it off. And when my locks fell, they were just so amazed. And I remember them telling their parents, that's how I want my hair when I grow up. And the parents were horrified. They didn't want to think about it. They don't want to do the work of it. And I'm seeing children now as young as 2 years old with chemicals. And there's a surge of children getting micro braids and the individual braids that are waist length. And in their head, they're thinking that that's natural. And it's really not, because you're still altering what they have. And so their image of beauty is not an image of their own beauty. Their image of beauty is what is either put upon them or what they see on TV. And it's causing this whole, and it's like scarification. And the hair is the scalp is being scarred. The follicles are being damaged. So they'll never know what their natural hair is ever going to do because it's damaged before it has a chance to do anything. And even with the little boys who want to rock afros and they want to wear their cornrows, they're like, well, what do you want to do that for? I need my son to be clean cut. I don't want my son to have a hair. I don't want him to wear an afro or he looks like a girl. And what you put on children and what you teach them is sometimes who they become, and then they have to unlearn it. And it's causing a divide, and it's causing major self-esteem and self-love issues. I was in my daughter's daycare, and the one little girl told the other little girl, well, you gotta leave. That's why your hair looks like that. And she had beautiful double strand twists. And she couldn't believe her own beautiful natural hair was actually that long. And just because your hair is long doesn't make it beautiful, because then you have a little girl with a little short, teeny, weeny fro. So it's just their perception is so thrown off that I think that's, for me, that's my biggest journey, is to like bridge the gap to make them know that they're beautiful. And the children's perception of what is beautiful is more important than anybody else.
But I think back to when I was a child and growing up, and my mom always used to do the doobie-doo, which was like the hair all around, and she had waves, and it was always, very beautiful. And I grew up blow drying my hair all the time.
Okay.
Until my mid-20s, then I was like, okay, you know what? I like my curls, you know, and I started embracing my curls. So when I see my son, you know, he's like, no, mommy, I want it, you know, spiky. I want like straight hair. And I'm like, no, it's beautiful hair. Let's get those, you know. So I'm trying now, you know, to really get him out of that and to really kind of embrace his hair texture.
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
It's a journey.
You blow your hair at 9 years old.
What you're looking for is the long term.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the client that right now is 5 years old.
Yeah.
And that's fine with me because she'll be with me until she's 25 or until she's 30. I'd rather have the long-term client that wants to be educated and bring me your solutions, and then we'll come together and we'll come up with a prescription and a solution together for you.
I mean, I think that whole hair type system did more harm than good because
Absolutely.
it divided us. It didn't.
As a salon professional, it's one of my
hate it.
most frustrating
Yes.
things that I have to deal with, because now instead of them coming in for in-person consultation, they want to tell me about 2A and 4B on the phone, but I don't know what your hair does. Your hair will tell me two truths: when it's dry and when it's wet.